In this video, I will introduce univariate descriptive statistics for scale variables. I will go over frequencies, proportions, percentages, frequency tables, pie charts, and bar charts. Basically, this goes over what we learned about in the categorical videos, but with scale variables. And then at the end of the video, I will discuss what the next videos in the scale variable videos will include. Here's a frequency table for a scale variable. Test grades. You should know what a scale variable is already. A scale variable is a variable that has values that are equally spaced from each other, and you can add and subtract them. And they're usually variables that you think normally have an inherent number to them, like test grades, or height, or weight. They just have a number to them. And that means you can add and subtract them. Here we have a frequency table for test grades, and so you can see that two people got a 98, 4 people got a 95, 8 people got a 93, and so on. Then we have the proportions and the percentages. So just like the categorical variables, we can take the number in that category and divide by the total sample size, which is 40, and get a proportion, and then multiply that by 100 and get the percentage. So you can do that for all these. But what happens here is that sometimes scale variables have a lot of values. Usually categorical variables tend not to have a lot of categories, and sometimes they do. I mean, states, there's 50 states, that's a lot of categories, for example, but usually they tend to have less values than a scale variable. A scale variable can have a lot of values, like when you have test grades. Here's some test grades, and there's a lot of values here, and normally there would be even more. Not just this many, there would probably be more than this, but this is all I could fit on the slide. And so what you might want to do is kind of group the scale variable into categories here. So maybe we could do 90 and above, and that would be A's, right? And so there is 24 people that have an A. 10 plus 8, that's 18, plus 4, that's 22, plus 2 is 24. And then we can make a B category, 80 to 89. And there is 5 plus 4, that's 9, plus 3, that's 12 people who got a B. And then this last people who got 70 or 40, those can be a C or lower. And so we're really just chunking these values up. And so what you can do then is to make a group frequency table that's a little easier to read and faster to read than looking at all these frequencies. So here's our group frequency table. So as I said, 24 people got an A, 12 people got a B, and 4 people got a C or lower. And then again, we can find the proportion by taking the number divided by how many there are, and then I reduced the fractions already for you. And so we got 0.60 for people who got A, that's 60%. We got 30% got a B, and 10% got a C or lower. So the main thing is that whatever you do with a categorical variable, you can also do with a scale variable, but sometimes you need to group them because sometimes there's a lot of values. And sometimes there's a lot of values categorical variables, which just happens less often. So now I'm going to talk about graphical representations of scale variables, but right now I'm only going to talk about pie charts and bar charts. And later on I'll talk about histograms in another video. So here's a pie chart of the data that we just had. This is from the frequency table where we did not group, it was the ungrouped. So anytime you make a pie chart or a bar chart, you need to make a frequency table first. And so here's the proportions. And so you can see the bigger slices get a bigger percentage, and so that means more people had that grade. So the biggest chunk here is 25%, which it looks like a 90. And then here's the group pie chart, which is a little bit easier to read because we're chunking things. And so we can see that 60% got an A, 30% got a B, and 10% got a C or lower. So it's just a little bit easier to read since we're chunking it and there's not so many categories. And it's just easier for the reader. Here's a bar chart of the individual values. So we have 2 people got a 40 here, you can see. And then 2 people got a 70, 3 people got an 80, and so on and so forth. This was the individual frequencies. So this is an ungrouped bar chart. And notice that we have the individual values, not like it kind of skips around by the values that it has. So this is a bar chart. And here's a group bar chart. Again, it's a little easier to read. You can see there's 24 people got an A, 12 people got a B, and 4 people got a C or lower. The next video and the other videos after that are going to talk about what you can do with scale variables that you can't do with categorical variables. And I kind of talked about this before in another video, but the first thing is the distribution. So we're going to talk about how to make histograms from frequency tables and the shapes of those. Then we're going to talk about central tendency, which is the mean, median, or mode. And then we're going to talk about dispersion, which is the spread of the values. This could be the total range or the range in relation to the central tendency. And all of this makes univariate analysis for scale variables.